So I deleted like 2 apps and I still have only like 6 minutes of memory on this. So I'm gonna be quick. I bought some books this month and I'm very excited about them. And this is my collection. Ah. I wanted to show you all of these on call, but I don't know if either of us will ever have the time. So let's go. Let's go through some books. I'm so excited. So the first thing I bought was The Good, the Bad, and the Smug. And I'm gonna go through these really quickly, even though I have very, very intense thoughts about all of them, but no time. So I bought this book only because it had a sentence in the blurb that said, suddenly he's locked in an arms race with a species whose arms he once considered merely part of a calorie control diet. So it gave me like modern Douglas Adams satire vibes. So I was like, I'm in. So it'll be like a nice chill book when I'm not in the mood for something intense. I make sure to buy those because we all know I have reading slumps. The next one I bought was Fires by Garver. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. But basically, this is a book of. I generally just buy whichever of these vintage classics I find, because they're always so interesting. But this is a book of 4 essays, 50 poems, and 7 stories. So it's like essays about the influences on his writing and stuff like that. So cool! Excited to read some poems. And then I bought Armageddon by Vonnegut. I'm reading Good Omens right now, so Armageddon is like a theme in that. I mean, I wasn't reading it when I bought this, but very excited to read this because I'm in the mood for the world ending. Then I bought Room by Emma Donoghue, and this is the book based on the movie, not the Tommy Wiseau movie, but the thriller movie. And fun fact is that I actually was buying books in India and I almost bought this, but I was like, I'm not sure if I own it or not. So I do, and I'm very excited about reading it. I'm so excited about this one. So this is Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So I actually have Circe, which is also by Madeline Miller, but I read like the first 2 chapters and I wasn't really like, if a book doesn't interest me now in like the first 2 chapters, I can't get into it, which is probably it's not a Madeline Miller thing, it's probably a me thing. But I've heard this one's better. This was the first like bestseller of hers, and it won the Orange Prize in 2012. So definitely get my hand. Like, I'm definitely gonna read that one. This is a book I bought. It's called The Shadow of the Wind, by Carlos Zafon. That guy. I bought this because I watched this video about books that help you come out of reading slumps, and this one was recommended. And it's basically a book about a secret library, and I love books about books. I mean, I like Strange the Dreamer, so you know that like books about books is my poems about poems is my like that is the sweet spot. So I also like the Midnight Library, so that should be an indicator. But yeah, I'm very excited because this is like I think it's like a sci-fi ish genre, but not really. So, and it has a little thing by Stephen King at the back which says it's good. So I know this doesn't really mean anything because they write it for everything, but it was very highly recommended. Ooh. Sorry. And just generally popular on BookTube, so I got it. Then is a book which I have been chasing for like 7 months now. I've been trying to get my hands on this book, but it has been impossible because it's either too expensive or it's sold out or it's just not available. The Kindle edition of this book is like 1,000 rupees. So I just really wanted to own it. Another book about books. It's called The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. So this entire collection that I have was bought because I was looking for this book. So I went into these places looking for this, and I bought like 80 other things, but I couldn't find this. But then in India, I was scammed a little because you can get the paperback for like 350 to 400 rupees, and I paid 700 for it. But I'm like, it's fine. It's here. It's a physical copy, and I'm okay with paying that amount. So yeah, this is like a fantasy magic realism type book. I think it's also a book about books. But I'm not really sure. I was told to go into it without knowing anything, so I haven't really read the blurb. But from what I understand, it's like a very similar theme with like knowledge-based societies. So yeah, finally got the book. Bought like 80 other things in the meanwhile, but that's okay. And the next one is one that Vineet recommended to me, and one that I was gonna read anyway. It's called Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. And I know I didn't do a Frederick Bachman or an Orhan Pamuk last year, but I'm planning to do them this year. I have Snow by Orhan Pamuk, which I bought at some point. So I'm thinking of reading this because this is the latest one. And I was reading Bear Town, but again, if something doesn't interest me in 2 chapters, I'm like out. I can't pay attention. Okay, I deleted like 36 pictures and it bought me some time. So I'm gonna go through these quickly. Next thing I bought was Exit West, which also I heard about on BookTube. Mixed reviews, but it's pretty small, so I think I can go through this quickly. It's like literary fiction, which is always good. Then I bought The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I realized I'm not a very big fan of like travel books, where they just kind of like travel around and like recount their experience. But this one's like very popular and it's a classic, so even if I don't read it, I would like to have it. I would like to have the option. Then I bought 2 books, which were both because of Vineet's obsession with this author. So, I know Vineet is watching this, but it was in his like a yearly review of books last year. And so I bought, I was like, should I buy this or should I buy this? So I bought both because they were so cheap. So this is Ursula K. Le Guin, can't pronounce, but this author basically. So this is like sci-fi, and I don't really read sci-fi, but I've heard that these books are like just namesake sci-fi, and they're actually very like, they actually are a commentary on human life. So this one's a part of a series, and this one I think is standalone, but they're both like one of her biggest works. So I don't know if I'll ever get to these, but because the cover is so pretty and because I've heard so much about them, maybe in a few years. Then I bought Mrs. Dalloway by Woolf because I haven't read Woolf in a while and I miss it. And then I bought Love and Other Thought Experiments by Sophie Ward. I think that this will just be kind of, you know, love story-ish, like rom-com, not com, but like romance type contemporary writing. It's like one of those in-time books, and it was nominated, shortlisted for the Man Booker, which again means nothing, but you know, at least it has a chance of being good, so I will give it a shot. Then I bought another poetry book, which is called A Wild Swan and Other Tales. Again, I couldn't open this, or I'd mention it. Basically, these are like packed in these like plastic thingies, so the books don't get dirty in the sale. So I couldn't look inside it, but I read and it has illustrations, and it's so pretty. Just look at that. Okay, I'm getting extremely stressed, and I am realizing that I should have maybe. Oh, now I have 21 minutes. Okay, basically bought this another book of like poems and illustrations, so looks cute. Then I bought A History of Wolves, which I think I just bought because it looked interesting. Like it has like this forest type theme, which is it's cool, you know. I don't really know what this book is about, to be very honest. But these are haunted pages, so seems interesting. Actually, I knew what it was about when I bought it, but it was a while ago, so I don't remember. But it looked nice, so why not? Then I bought Caroline Duffy, and I have a friend who would absolutely like murder me for this because she does not like Caroline Duffy's writing. But I want to make my own decision, and it's a poetry book, so maybe it won't be as bad as her introductions are. But it's called Sincerity, and the cover is so pretty. And it's a poetry book, so I mean, there's very little to lose if you think about it. It's always a good bet to buy poetry books. Then I got Vasa in the Night, and I don't know if you've noticed, but like these like swan theme books are like everywhere now. I've seen so many books with like like themes revolving around swans and plot points revolving around swans, and it confuses me so much because I'm like, do people care this much about swans? Has this always been the case, or have I just never noticed? There's just so many swans everywhere. But yeah, this is like an urban fantasy ish books, and I've been craving like something like the Night Circus. I know this probably won't be anything close to that, but then it's a mood. So I just bought something that kind of felt similar, just based on the cover and the reviews. Because again, couldn't actually open the book and read. Also, I would like to mention that a lot of these are hardcovers, which is super exciting to me. I love reading a good hardcover. Especially like these poetry books, which are all like, they have like a paper jacket and they have like a page indicator. Oh, gets me in the feels. Okay, we're almost at the end. The next one is Make Your Home Among Strangers, which also felt like literary fiction to me. And I think this is like a college-based. Yeah, it's about experience of a first-generation college student navigating an all too realistic elite school. So, I mean, I have felt this, so it might be something that I can relate to. And the last book I got is called Other Words for Smoke. That's the cover. It's a little like creepy house. And this is by Sarah Maria Griffin. And it has an owl on the back, and it says, "It's happening again." A little bit of horror fiction, maybe. Don't really read that genre. Only mainly like Shirley Jackson. In the horror fiction, at least contemporary horror fiction. I mean, I did do an entire dissertation on Gothic literature, so I should not be saying this, but don't really read much of it voluntarily. I'm just inclined towards literary fiction, and if horror comes along, then it comes along. Okay, 2 bonus books quickly. So I can't read Hindi for shit. But my mom has always talked about how she really wants to read books in Hindi, but she like doesn't own any anymore. So I bought her some about this. So essentially, I couldn't read this. Okay, like I couldn't read what any of this They have a whole blurb in Hindi, and like even in the jacket, it's all in Hindi. So I was like, what does all this mean? So I asked like the clerk who worked there, I was like, can you recommend something to me? Because I want something like poetic or short stories, something nice, some of your bestsellers in Hindi. And she got annoyed with me. She's like, how can I help you? How do I know what you want? Even though I told her what I want. But anyway, I looked up some, I used a lot of Google Translate, and I looked up some summaries, some of the blurbs for these books in English. And so this was one I got, which is a collection of short stories. It's called Jahan Lakshmi Kaid Hai, and no, I did not read that. I just know the name. So it's a bunch of short stories about women, imprisoned women, not like literally in a prison, but women who live imprisoned lives. So should be cool. I think my mom's into that kind of stuff. And then, obviously, because I'm me, I bought a collection of Gulzar's poetry, which is written in Hindi. So like all of the poems are in Hindi. I'm gonna make my mom narrate them to me and explain them to me. Very excited. So yeah, that's my short stack of books that I bought in the last month. I am most excited about, I think you can guess at this point, Atlas 6, Shadow of the Wind. Obviously, Vonnegut, and obviously, because classic buyers. And then, if I still have like headspace remaining, probably pick up Ursula K. Le Guin. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, so many books. Also, I have like it's very messy at the moment. I have a little like library space up there, and I'm planning to take away like these two shelves as well and put like fairy lights and arrange these properly. But I'm planning to create kind of like a TV on things that I really want to read. So if they're right in front of me, I might be more motivated to read them. But yeah, that's my little book haul. Sorry if this is like boring and lame. I was just so excited to film it. Okay, bye. Love you.